Welcome to the Sports Report Podcast with Ben, Ricky, and Jalen. We cover trending and popular topics surrounding the world of professional and on-campus sports. With each of us having a unique sports background, we give different perspectives and insight on the current climate of sports news. And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome back to the Sports Report Pod. Class is in session. I'm Ben. I'm here with Jalen and Ricky. Today we're going to be going over the NFL and NBA. We're going to start with the NFL. We had the conference championships last weekend, and we have the Chiefs and the 49ers advancing to the Super Bowl. Jalen, I'll start with you. What was your thoughts on the games?
Couple really good games. Lions got out to a 17-point lead, and I was just thinking, watching it, it's happening again. Shanahan is doing the same thing where he gets to the playoffs, gets down, and they can't play from down. But I think they showed a stat. It was, 0-30 when it was that deficit with that amount of time left in the game. And he called a phenomenal second half, and Brock Purdy executed really well to get them back. I think that he proved a lot of doubters wrong for sure, that he could lead a comeback and that, they didn't just have to run the ball, chew the clock. And on the other side, the Chiefs defense proved that they're probably the number one defense in the NFL left. I said last week that I think it was going to be a battle between the two defenses because both were so strong during the regular season, and I was going to take the Ravens defense over the Chiefs defense, and I was proven wrong 100%. The Chiefs D-line was feasting Lamar. To not the Chiefs' credit, but the other side of it, Lamar was holding the ball for really long, I feel like. Times in the regular season where he would just pull it down and get 5-6 yards. He was trying to make a big play. And you can't with how well the Chiefs secondary played. So excited for the Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, I feel like the Ravens got away from their game plan that's worked all season, which is run the ball. I think the Chiefs scored so quick and it was 7-0. They were like, okay, now we have to catch up. So they went straight to okay, we got to get a big play. And that's why Lamar started holding it for a while. But I think they ran it 6 or 7 times the whole game, which just can't happen when that's your strength.
Yeah. I mean, these Chiefs are these Chiefs are insane. I don't know really what to say. I mean, you guys pretty much said it all. I feel like the Ravens defense, they got it going in the second half. They were able to stop them pretty consistently, but they just couldn't get nothing on offense. Just like you said, they weren't running. I forgot the stat, but out of all the second downs they had, they only ran the ball one time in the fourth quarter, which was it's not good, especially if that's a big part of their offense. And when the Chiefs needed to play, whether that was on defense or on offense, they got it done. On the other side, the Lions in the 49ers game, it was a good game. I thought the Lions had it in the bag when it was halftime, but they made some crazy mistakes, and I don't know if you want to call it questionable coaching or not. They made a couple, maybe coaching errors, but the 49ers ended up getting it done. Overall, I like the Super Bowl. I think that was I had both of those teams going to the Super Bowl. But these Chiefs, they just get it done no matter what. So it's gonna be a good Super Bowl. But
what did you guys think of the fourth down approach for the Lions, just overall in that game?
Yeah, it's what Dan Campbell's known. He's been a very aggressive
100%.
coach since going there. But I think it's his first playoff run as a head coach, and he's learned the lesson now. In the playoffs, you got to take your points, especially when you're up by so much. He could have made it a 3-score game, but instead he decided to go for it, and that was a huge momentum swinger. And then from there, it just kept falling down. He went for it again, didn't get it, and the 49ers just capitalized, and you got to take your points in the playoffs.
And I don't think we can chalk it up to just him automatically being aggressive in every spot. I think if you think that, you didn't watch the game. Because at the end of the half, he had an opportunity. It was fourth down with 0 seconds on the clock, 1 play left. And he kicked a field goal at the Niners 5 or something like that to make it 24-27 when he had a chance to make it 28-27. And I'm sitting at home screaming to kick the field goal because a 17-point lead versus a 14-point lead, 3 possessions versus 2, you need to take the points. And he did. And I'm like, okay, now they're going into the second half with a marginal lead. Of course, the pendulum is going to swing back eventually because the Niners were at home. But I was like, if they keep playing like this, they could just kind of play keep away. And then the like to your point, the first fourth down when they had an opportunity to make it 3 scores in the second half, the first fourth down of the second half.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think that was that bad of a call. I think when you're up, especially in a situation like the Lions, when you're on the road and you have a chance to rip their heart out right now, I didn't mind that, and they didn't get it. The second one when they were down 24-27, you got to take the 3 there. I know there was like 6 minutes left, so there was plenty of time to get a stop and get the ball back, or not even get a stop and still get the ball back with enough time. If there's a minute left, obviously, I think if you're down, you got to chip away. And that was the difference, is they were down in that situation, and you got to take the points.
Yeah, I still think he's a good coach. That's what type of coach he is. He's going to take those risks. We've seen it throughout his this last year with the Lions. So you gotta live by it, you gotta die by it. I think those decisions that he made, and they made it far, and I think next year they're gonna have a good shot to make it there again.
Yeah, I think all the teams that were here this year have a good shot at coming back. The Ravens, it's gonna be a little tougher in their division now with the Burrow's gonna be healthy for the Bengals. But the Lions, they had a good year. Dan Campbell's been a great coach for them, helped them completely turn around their franchise. So I think now that he's been in a few playoff games, he'll learn from being a little too aggressive and move past it next year, and they got a shot at making it to the Super Bowl. But for now, we got the Chiefs and the 49ers, and we'll break that down more next week ahead of the Super Bowl. Now we're going to get into the last 2 coaching hires. So we'll start with Ricky, his Seahawks.
Yes, sir. So the Seahawks just hired the former Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald. Me personally, I really like this. For the Seahawks. We had the oldest coach, now we have the youngest coach in NFL, and I think that's what we were missing, just that young presence, especially a coach in that locker room. I feel like our defense is going to be stronger just because he's coming off that's his specialty, defense. I think he's going to put a good scheme in. We have the talent. I feel like we just need the strategy behind the talent to get it done. I am curious to see what we're going to do with the offense. I know we still have Geno. We signed him. But we have like DK, Tyler Lockett still, Noah Fant, Jackson Smith. We got all these high offensive power weapons, and I feel like we still haven't been able to utilize them as much. So next year, I'm really seeing on what we're gonna do with that.
Yeah, I think it was a good hire. I think it'll be interesting to see who they bring in as an offensive coordinator. But it's really going to be dependent on Geno for me. He was really good his first year in Seattle, and then this year he took a step back. Drew Lock even got an opportunity. I know Geno was a little banged up, but I think their quarterback situation is something to watch this offseason. I think Geno has 2 more years on his deal. And I don't know, is Drew Lock signed for next year too?
I'm not sure, but this is Geno's make it or break a year for sure. Like, if he does bad this year, then it's honestly, well, I wouldn't say bad. He has to do fairly well for them, I believe, to keep him there, you know. But,
yeah. So moving on to the Commanders, they hired Dan Quinn, the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, as their head coach. And Dan Quinn was also previously the Atlanta Falcons head coach when they went to the Super Bowl, but they did blow the 28-3 lead, so got to be careful with his playoff success there. Jalen, what did you think of that hire?
In-division hire, and I think like we were talking about a little bit off-air, I believe Ron Rivera is now taking offers, or not taking offers, but at least talking to the Cowboys, which is funny. Little NFC East inter-division coaching bidding there. But I like the Commanders got someone who was defensive-minded. Their defense was so bad last year, and I think Sam Howell got his opportunity, and he did really well for the first half of the year. But they were putting up points against pretty good caliber teams and giving up an unbelievable amount of points on the other end. So the Commanders still got talent, and I'm excited to see next year in that division that's going to be so good.
Yeah, I think It's going to be interesting because the Cowboys are coming off of a bad playoff loss. So are the Eagles. And then the Giants and Commanders have shown they can be competitive the last couple of years, but have been inconsistent. So that should be a fun division. Now we're going to shift gears to the NBA. And we had a trade go down just right when we started recording. The Memphis Grizzlies traded Steven Adams to the Houston Rockets for Victor Oladipo and 3 second-round picks. Now, this trade doesn't have a huge impact this year. Adams is out for the year already, and Oladipo hasn't played all season. He may return later down the line, but for now, this looks like just a future move. So Houston is getting Steven Adams, a veteran center, and they've been kind of competitive this year. They're kind of mixing in veterans and young talent. And for the Grizzlies, they get 3 second-round picks and Oladipo, who probably won't play much for them. So I'll start with Ricky. What do you think about this trade?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, it's like, whatever trade, okay. It's just, I don't really see anything. I guess it's good for the Rockets next year, getting Steven Adams, but he is old, and the Rockets never play their older players. So, I mean, I think it's just a throwaway trade, like just getting picks from him. I don't really have any.
If this was 2017, this would be on the front page of every sports media outlet.
It would.
But I totally agree with you, Ricky. I think as we get closer to the trade deadline, teams like to wait till the very, very last second, try to maximize their value that they feel for whoever player that they're trying to move, and that's what makes the deadline so fun. I think that the Rockets are getting a guy, no matter how old he is, has proven that his style of play is, you need at least a guy like that if you're a team that's trying to contend, especially if you're young like the Rockets. I think Sengun is going to take a lot from him when Adams is healthy. He'll be great for the locker room, I think. We saw what he did with the Grizzlies on kind of a pretty dysfunctional team, and he was kind of the glue, I think. I suspect, at least. Because now that, he's hurt and he's not playing, it is just a mess over there in Memphis. Now that Memphis is playing without him, it kind of has exposed how bad of a rebounder Jaren Jackson Jr. is, even with his size. Still an elite defender, which is so weird. But the Rockets are getting, I think, the best value out of this trade. 3 seconds is a lot. So, yeah, I'm excited to see next year what's going to happen. Victor, man, he's just been hurt. I think we were robbed as fans of a much, much better career from a guy who was so explosive and athletic and can score from anywhere.
Yeah, he was really great when he was in Indiana before all the injuries, and now he's kind of bounced around the league. But, yeah, I agree. I think Adams will be a good leader for Houston. He'll be a good backup behind Sengun and can help mentor Sengun. And for the Grizzlies, you get a few second-round picks. I think Oladipo's contract is also expiring, so you get cap flexibility for the offseason. And now they kind of have to look for a center somewhere because, as you mentioned, Jaren isn't a great rebounder. He's a great defender, but you need someone next to him. So we'll have to see what they do with that. Now we'll move on to the Western Conference as a whole. And it's been a very close race in the Western Conference. Ricky, I know you wanted to talk about this. So what have you seen from the Western Conference?
Before when we started and we had our predictions, yeah, mine is totally blown up. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely didn't have the Thunder, the Timberwolves number 1 and 2. I know you guys were high on the Thunder. I don't even think I had them in my top 10. I thought they honestly needed one more year to get like accommodated with Chet and everything else, but they're playing lights out. I pretty much had like a question, or I wanted to throw a question out to you guys. I know we're more than halfway done with the season, or halfway into the season. Do you believe that the Timberwolves and the Thunder are gonna like stay up 1 and 2, or do you think there's gonna be a little bit of fluctuation throughout the West coming up?
I think it really depends on what the teams do at the trade deadline. I think both teams have good cores, but they could both use more bench pieces. Oklahoma City can make a trade whenever they want for basically whoever they want that's not untouchable. They have so many draft picks. They have some good contracts they could trade. So I think OKC has a lot more flexibility. Now Minnesota, it's going to be a little harder for them to make a trade They traded away so much to get Gobert a couple of years ago that they're limited in the assets they could trade away without trading away Conley or Towns or Gobert or McDaniels, who they're not going to trade. So they're already like way over the cap. So it's really tough for them to make a huge move. I've seen that they want to get a backup point guard. So Tyus Jones is a name that's been linked to them. So something like that could help their bench production. And for OKC, if there's a star that becomes available that they view as a fit, they could go get him and really solidify themselves as contenders. But I also think Denver is going to overtake at least Minnesota. I think Oklahoma City has so much more flexibility with the trade deadline. They'll stay up there. But I think Denver, being the champs, are going to overtake Minnesota. I think they'll fall to like the 3 or 4 seed by the end of the year.
The Thunder are back, baby. I think that they're going to be good for a while. And if you really think about it, they kind of never left. That Russ KD era, obviously, everything went their separate ways. And when Russ was still on that team, they were a 6 seed, trying to just find anyone they could pull from around the NBA to still compete. And after that, they were still competitive with Chris Paul and not Shai. Was Shai on that team at that point?
Was,
yeah, because he's
yes.
part of the trade.
Yes.
He's part of that whole trade. And they were competitive as a kind of a bottom of the league team.
They were a playoff team, yeah. I think they're the 4th or 5th seed.
That franchise has been operated so well over this decade. And the move to sit Chet last year, I think, is a proven formula. We saw it with Ben Simmons, how well he performed in his first year after he sat out that first year. Can't say so much anymore, but
yeah, he was definitely
he had
on
a good game the other night.
He did, but he got hurt again. He's out now again. So
I'm just playing.
Yeah.
he was playing good though. He had a near triple-double and then got hurt again.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons, man.
But just the idea for rookies to have a year to settle in and get used to actually playing basketball against grown men. I think we overlook that sometimes with a one-and-done guy out of college who hasn't necessarily played overseas or anything like a situation like LaMelo Ball. But like for Chet, he's coming in. I don't know how old he was when he's drafted, but I'm guessing 19, 20 years old. He has to physically get used to the speed of the game playing against guys who are savvy and have been there before. And he's playing like it. He's playing like a vet. He's shooting really well. He knows his role within that offense. And I think is something like a situation where in Victor Wembanyama's case, he kind of has to do everything because the Spurs don't have any direction or team identity just because of the talent that's on their team. And Chet is really benefiting from that. Shea is a generational talent. He scores at will. He produces. On the Minnesota side, I agree with you, Ben. I think that they're overperforming a lot right now. Cat is kind of taking advantage of his size and his game, and the regular season, the extended regular season where it's easy for a guy like that to go out and not necessarily pad stats. I'm not saying that at all, but to record a lot of points. And it's completely different in the playoffs. I agree with you. I think the Nuggets and the Clippers are in a spot. They like where they're at, and the Thunder and the Timberwolves are trying to hold everything together right now. And I think OKC's in a little bit better spot to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And now, hang on, Shams just tweeted that Joel Embiid has suffered a torn meniscus in his left knee.
Oh my!
So that likely means he's out for the year. So
wow.
That is huge news. That means Philadelphia's trade deadline is going to look completely different. They're probably going to drop very far in the standings.
Yeah, that
Maxi's already been out for multiple games. And, yeah, right now they sit in 5th at 29-17. So they're probably going to be dropping to maybe a play-in team, I would imagine.
How long is Maxey supposed to be out for?
He's considered day-to-day, so he's probably back pretty soon. But, yeah, Embiid out for the year.
That's a blow. He was having maybe a more proven year than last year when he won MVP.
It looked like So let's dive into the conversation that's been going on around the league now that we have Embiid out for the year. A lot of teams have thought that their players are pushing back to come back from injuries early now that there's the 65-game requirement to be up for awards. And it's not just that the players want to win the awards. Money is tied to it. So Tyrese Halliburton talked about it the other day. He's missed, I think, 11 games so far, so he can't miss too many more. And if he doesn't make he doesn't play 65 games this year, then that means he's not going to be eligible for like a supermax in a couple of years, which will cost him $41 million. So what do you guys think about I get like why the NBA implemented it, because they want like their players to play as many games as possible and get rid of the load management. But also you have players now pushing back when they're not ready to play, and it's causing health concerns, and now we have Embiid out for the year.
Yeah, to your point, the concept of the rule is kind of the same as the in-season tournament, right? You want to make the intensity of the regular season on par with that of a playoff situation, not necessarily to the same, but to elevate everything. And the 65-game minimum for eligibility for awards is the same thing. It's to make sure players are playing. And I didn't know that you weren't eligible for money, and when you said that, that totally made sense. And I have a question for you guys. Do you think it's the rule, or is it just how it's being enforced? Like, is 65 games too much? Is 55 where we need to be? Or is the inception of the rule kind of not structured in a way where it's benefiting the players?
I think they should try and restructure it in a way where it doesn't cost them money. Because the way it is right now, when you win like an award or make All-NBA, which is what Halliburton's case is, you get eligible for more money, which makes sense the way they had it before, but now you're adding in that they have to play 65 games for it. I get that they want to encourage their players to play as many games in the regular season as possible, but again, you're risking injuries now. So I think if they were to keep the structure for the awards but take away the money aspect, I think 65 is fine. You don't want players that are playing in 50 games up for MVP anyways. So I think the limit they have is fine. They just need to get rid of the money tied to it, because that's where players are going to put themselves at risk.
Yeah, definitely. As a player, I would definitely not like the rule, because, I mean, you can't miss that many games, and sometimes you do get injured, like it happens, especially in a sport like the NBA or NFL or whatever. But as a company, it does make sense. You want to see the best players playing, especially for the fans and your stadium, your team, and all that. But they do need a certain game to base it off of. Just like Ben said, I do agree that they should take the money part away of it. It's just like a fine line. It's really tough. It's a difficult thing for the NBA to do and to really figure out. But
we're talking about the demolition of this rule, but think about like in 10 years when we look back on this, we're going to say, man, that 65 game rule thing was dumb. Now, in that future, are we going to have, like I said, the rule, the same rule, but it's 55 games, and everybody totally agrees on it because it's producing you the maximum result on both ends, NBA end, player end, and the fan end. So I think that's another conversation that we need to have, not necessarily get rid of the rule, just because, we're getting a negative outcome of it right now. Maybe it's just we need to find that equilibrium, and we just haven't found it yet. I don't know. Adam Silver probably knows more than me, though. So
Yeah, well, that will be very interesting to see how that plays out now that we've had a huge season-ending injury. Not necessarily all because of it, but definitely a factor. And prayers up to Embiid and the 76ers organization. And, well, it'll be interesting to see how they attack the trade deadline now that their star players out. They're probably going to sit pat and wait till the offseason to do something, but we'll see how much they fall without their MVP. Now we'll move into other trade rumors. So Jordan Clarkson is one of the top trade players on the market, and teams like the New York Knicks have been linked to him. Who do you guys view as the best fit for Jordan Clarkson?
The New York Knicks are cool. That would be a good backup for Jalen Brunson. Do they have the pieces to trade for him, though?
Evan Fournier's contract matches, so it'd be probably Fournier plus draft capital.
If I'm the Jazz, do I want Evan Fournier?
He's an expiring salary, so you're basically just trading for draft capital.
They'd have to try to flip him, too, but it'd be hard, probably.
I don't know.
I think, to your point, Ricky, I'm not too sure either. The Knicks went out and got OG Anunoby and completely elevated their style of play. They're hot right now. Is scoring, a 20 minutes a game, a guy who's going to give you scoring something that they need right now? Do you think?
He would basically take on the quickly role.
You got to think
what they had before.
Thibodeau, he doesn't play his bench.
That's
he
true.
plays his starters. So a person like Jordan Clarkson, he might not be a great fit for New York.
He did play quickly, like 25 minutes a game. So ideally, they'd view him as the replacement for what quickly did off the bench.
But they traded him though.
They did.
For more defense. So I don't know. I mean, it looks good on paper, but I just don't think Jordan Clarkson will get the most out of his minutes and his production. Like his production in minutes wouldn't add up, I think he needs a lot of minutes in order for him to be productive on the court. So
do you think there's another team you could see trading for him at the deadline, or do you think he stays in Utah?
Let me see. Come back to me.
Well, we'll go in a little bit about the Lakers then. The Lakers are linked to so many players, but namely it's been Hawks guard DeJounte Murray, and that's been a D'Angelo Russell trade, but the Hawks want D'Lo to go to a third team. They don't view him as a fit next to Trae Young. So a proposal that a lot of people have seen is D'Angelo Russell to Brooklyn, Spencer Dinwiddie on his expiring contract to Atlanta, and DeJounte to the Lakers. The Lakers would send a first-round pick to the Hawks and Jalen Hood-Schifino, who they drafted with their first-round pick. So the Hawks would get Dinwiddie for this year, and then he'd be a free agent, so they'd have cap flexibility. And they'd get a first-round pick from the Lakers in 2029 and get a rookie point guard. So what would you think about that trade for all sides?
That trade would make D'Lo the king of playing on teams multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make the social media guy's job easier. You don't even need to Photoshop anything. You could just kind of
pull up an old image.
Yeah, pull up a picture of him.
He was an all-star there.
He already had the tats, so you don't need to make it look like it's actually him. But I think that DeJounte Murray is. I don't view him as a massive upgrade for the Lakers, as D'Lo. I think what we saw D'Lo do in the playoffs last year, you can have confidence in him being on the roster going into the playoffs. But you, as a Lakers fan, watch more Lakers games than me, Ben. Do you think that DeJounte Murray would fit in and would elevate that team?
Defensively, by far. That's the big problem with our backcourt right now. D'Lo and Reeves are both poor defenders. DeJounte has taken a step back on defense, but he's still a better defender than D'Lo. He has made an all-defensive team before. So I think defensively and also rebounding, he's better than D'Lo. As far as shooting, D'Lo is a much more efficient three-point shooter. DeJounte is having a breakout year from three. He's shooting close to 39%, but is that going to be consistent? For his career, he's close to 35%. D'Lo's, I think, 37% career shooter. This year he's at like 42% from three.
Yeah,
so
he's good.
It's the shooting that you would be losing, but you'd be getting better on defense. But a big part of it to me is the contract length for both. D'Lo has a player option at the end of the year. He could just opt out and leave somewhere in the offseason. And the Lakers are not eligible to extend him until the offseason. So you're kind of taking a risk keeping D'Lo when he could just walk, and then you're basically screwed out of a point guard. DeJounte would have 4 more years on his deal if they were to trade for him. So I think that's an aspect they're looking into. But if they decide to keep D'Lo, there are other routes. They're looking at the 3 players from the Nets, Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Royce O'Neal. So Finney-Smith and O'Neal would fit like the 3-and-D role that they kind of are missing right now. And Dinwiddie would be maybe a backup point guard if they were to keep D'Lo. So that's something to look at too. And then Tyus Jones from the Wizards is someone they view as a backup point guard. Gabe Vincent was signed in the offseason to be that backup point guard. He's appeared in 5 games so far. And in those 5 games, he was pretty bad.
I'm sorry, Ben.
Yeah, it's a 3-year deal, so it's a negative asset around the league, so it's going to even be hard to move him for anything. But
do you know what D'Lo's player option is for next year?
It is $17 or $18 million.
He's definitely going to take that. He has to. If he why would he walk out?
Well, Brooklyn is the team I would view that might want to sign him to a bigger deal in the offseason. Other than that, I don't see that many teams making an offer for him, but he might get more money from Brooklyn because Dinwiddie's expiring. If they're talking about doing a trade right now for DeJounte, it would be D'Lo going to Brooklyn, and they're giving up Dinwiddie. So if they could wait to the offseason and just sign D'Lo, they would probably have a pretty big offer for him. And the Lakers, I don't know how much they would be willing to pay for D'Lo.
Yeah. They probably wouldn't match, yeah.
I think if D'Lo's going to be extended, it's going to be similar to the number it is now, like 18 million a year. I don't think they're going to go up to like 25.
Yeah, definitely not. That's why I would think he would take it. But I see where you're coming from on the Brooklyn standpoint, because when on the top of my head, I can't really. I mean, Cam Thomas is a shooting guard.
Fits for him, but Brooklyn does make a lot of sense.
They don't really have a point guard over there, what I could think of right now.
Yeah, he'd be a big upgrade over Dinwiddie and good fit next to Bridges. So
yeah.
But yeah, the Lakers have a lot to think about. There's many different directions they could go. I've also heard they might stand pat at the deadline and just roll with this roster, because in the offseason they would then be eligible to trade away 3 first-round picks. So that means they would be pursuing guys like Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young in the offseason.
Yeah, see, I think that's a better way to go. I feel like if you get somebody right now, they're just pressing the panic button. I think they should keep steadily, because we see in the West right now, I mean, who do you guys think that could realistically like get out of the 1 through 8 seed? I mean, I see the Pelicans maybe dropping, but like the 1 through 5, maybe the Kings drop. But I just don't.
No way, man. Light the beam.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't see a lot of teams that are really gonna like. Maybe the Pelicans. So like, even if they do get DeJounte Murray or somebody else, how high are they gonna get, and what are they really gonna do?
Kind of would be the same spot as last year, where at the end of the year it was just, we need to make the playoffs and then we'll figure it out. And we saw how well that worked for them. They turned it on in the playoffs, and that's what everyone really thought they were gonna do. They went in as a 7 seed, had to play a play-in game, and everyone was just like, they just gotta win these 2 games and then just wait and see, and that's what they did. Yeah. So that's a great point, Ricky. They very well could do that and probably be fine if they did it.
I think they might be able to do that without a trade, but that means they got to fire Darvin Ham.
All right. Well, what's up with you and Darvin Ham, bro? I'm confused. I thought he was a good coach.
He looked like it last year, but this year, I don't know what. I was talking to Jalen about it the other night. Taurean Prince, he's like obsessed with him for some reason. Taurean Prince is like a solid role player. Like he's a good shooter. He's getting a lot of unnecessary hate right now from Lakers fans, but that's just because of how Darvin Ham uses him. We're a little bit over halfway through the season now. He's started more games than he has in his entire career, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
He'll have games where he has 0 points, and Darvin Ham gives him 30 minutes.
He must be cooking in practice or something. Like, he must be doing some crazy stuff in practice.
Twitter, you got to look at Lakers Twitter. I'm not even going to comment on it, but, like, there's, like,
no way.
Man, him and Darvin Ham, there's so many weird posts about them.
And that's so random. Taurean Prince, too, an acquisition guy that they got this offseason, right?
Yeah, he was signed 1 year, $4.5 million. So the Lakers, they made it to the Western Conference Finals. We re-signed our core that made it there. We got Rui back. We extended Vanderbilt. Got Reeves. We got D'Lo back. And then they added role players. That's why everyone was saying the Lakers won the offseason back in October, because they added back their Western Conference Finals team.
Signed their guys, yeah.
And signed good role players around them.
Yes.
But Darvin Ham is playing these role players more than the guys that got him to the Western Conference Finals last year. Vanderbilt has not started alongside D'Lo, Reeves, LeBron, and AD. That's the lineup that got them to the Western Conference Finals. And Rui Hachimura has seen his minutes go down. And Cam Reddish, when he's healthy, has been playing 20-plus minutes a game. He's been a really good defender, but he shouldn't be getting that many minutes.
That's what I don't get. That's what I was confused on earlier. Yeah. I was like, why is he getting a lot? I don't know.
It's so weird you go away from just the team.
Yeah, he's just not utilizing the player. If he ran the lineup like last year and then just implemented Taurean Prince and Cam Reddish and the guys we brought in the offseason off the bench, I think they could be a top 5 seed right now. But the way he's been playing him, he benched Reeves for a while. Reeves was the 6th man for like maybe a month. He benched D'Lo for a few weeks, and D'Lo was the 6th man. And it just hasn't worked. I don't get what his opposition of going back to the starting lineup from the Western Conference Finals is last year. Even in interviews, he's like deflecting the questions. Reporters ask him every game, are you going back to that lineup? And he's like, oh, no comment. Like, he just doesn't even want to talk about it. He just is obsessed with playing Taurean Prince.
Very diplomatic approach. No comment.
Yeah.
we gotta look into this. This is like a mystery. We gotta figure this out because it doesn't make sense.
I saw a couple pictures of the game a couple nights ago when the Rockets destroyed the Lakers, and the Lakers looked so bad on defense that game. And there was a huddle where Ime Udoka is screaming at his players and going on the court and running around and everything. And Darvin Ham is literally outside of the circle as if a star player on the team would be while they're huddling up together, like getting ready for the next when the stoppage of play stopped. So yeah, to your point, Ben, there's got to be some sort of disconnect or something going on that we just can't see.
And LeBron was asked a question the other night about what the team needs to do better, and he was getting ready to like go off, and then a reporter stopped him, and he's like, "Thank you, I was about to go off."
Wow. Hey man, he's too old for that. He had no patience no more. He'll just.
So it's LeBron's a free agent at the end of the year too, unless he accepts his player option. So there could be a lot going on. I think they just need to fire the coach. He is not. He's not been a good coach this year. Like, he's not utilizing the talent they have. Now, is there great replacements in season? No, it's tough to replace a coach mid-season. But the fact that he has this talented roster, that the core of it made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, and they're sitting at 9th in the Western Conference. AD has only missed 4 games this year.
Oh, AD's been playing phenomenal. AD's been playing good.
He's third in the NBA in minutes right now.
He's been playing very good.
And LeBron has maybe missed 7 or 8 games. Like, for 2 superstars to not miss a ton of games in your
at their age too.
9th in the Western Conference.
Yeah, that can't happen. They can't be playing the most minutes. There's no way LeBron should be playing the most minutes.
Well, and the reason LeBron is probably out tonight, we've been blown out 2 straight games. We had a back-to-back. Yep. LeBron played in both.
Yeah.
Even when it was a blowout, Darvin Ham kept him in the game for so much that he played close to 40 minutes both games. If you're getting blown out, let him rest, and maybe he's playing tonight in Boston. But he's not even managing the minutes while in blowout. So Darvin Ham needs to go. If they're going to hire someone, internal candidate would be Phil Handy, a Lakers assistant coach. He's known as like the best skills coach in the NBA. Now, does he want a head coaching opportunity? I don't know. So if he doesn't, then an outside candidate, Terry Stotts, he used to be the Portland Trailblazers head coach, would probably be the best one.
How about Adrian Griffin? You're not messing with him?
No, we don't need.
That would be so funny.
You're not messing with Adrian
Lakers
Griffin, Ben?
mid-season fire.
Yeah, I don't think
the guy from the other one.
Yeah, I don't think we go for that. That would just probably be the same exact problems.
Dang.
But yeah, it's
maybe not with Taurean Prince.
Maybe he'll put Taurean on the
Maybe
bench.
y'all need to trade Taurean Prince for somebody.
Yeah, well, it would get him away from Darvin Ham. So,
Yes.
But I like Taurean. Like, he's a good shooter. He's close to 39%, and he's a solid defender. But Darvin Ham, he needs to play him as he should be played. He's a role player. Give him 20 minutes a game off the bench. Let Rui play 25. Let Vando play close to 30. Or you could flip-flop them depending on how the game's going. That's how it should be run right now. Vanderbilt's defense makes up for Reeves and D'Lo not being a strong defensive backcourt.
Hey,
and that's what we saw last year.
What's up with this Jackson Hayes guy? Why is he's playing a lot of minutes too?
AD's been out. That's why Jackson is playing. He's been okay since he's come back. His first game was good. His second game was so-so. But yeah, it seems like Darvin Ham's lost the locker room. And yes, you're going to have to pay 2 coaches if you fire him. But if you want to commit to winning, LeBron doesn't have that many years left. This might be his last year with LA. Even if you don't make any trades, firing the coach gives you a better chance at this point. It looks like he's just totally disconnected from the players.
Yeah, I mean, if you say so, Ben. If you say so, Ben.
Jackson Hayes kind of looks like Jared McCain.
Yeah, I know. No, I was just I know who he is. I was just kind of because he played 24 minutes had 6 rebounds and 6 points, and I was just seeing what was going on.
Pelicans legend.
Taurean Prince had
Jackson Hayes.
25 points, 2 rebounds, and 7 points last game. Yeah, I don't know, Ben. Maybe you do have to fire the coach, bro.
Maybe Ben should step up as head coach.
Maybe
I
you
will
should.
take it on with pride if they offer it.
Maybe Taurean Prince is just pressing everybody. He's like, nah, bro, I'm playing the whole game.
He's just yeah. He's running fades at practice like I am starting tonight, guys, and he's winning. He's winning the fights. That's why he keeps playing.
I mean, it could be at this point with how long it's been going on. But, yeah, go back to the lineup that got you to the Western Conference Finals. If Darvin Ham does that and it, like, shows success, like, yeah, everyone's going to be pissed at him that it's taken him this long to figure it out. But then, you know, maybe they could go on a run.
Yeah.
Maybe he could gain the trust back
You
from
gotta
the
get the
locker
results
room.
first, yeah.
You got to win games at this point. Though they're almost tied with Utah right now.
Yeah.
And Utah is
They're
like
the
a
worst
rebuilding
team in the Western
team,
Conference
right?
last year.
Yeah. So I don't know what's up with the
Yeah,
Lakers. Darvin Ham, I think, has to go.
When you look at the Lakers' box score, it's so scattered. It's weird. Like, it just looks weird. Like,
Yeah.
you're playing all these minutes, and you're just getting so much inconsistency from, like, half the team. You can't win with this formula. I don't know.
Yeah, LeBron so he played 48 minutes against Golden State in the double overtime win, which makes sense. It went to double overtime as a close game, right?
That's funny.
So how do you manage that, right? You get blown out 2 straight games, right? So, okay, you're getting blown out. Take out LeBron because he just played 48 minutes a couple nights ago. No, you play him 37 minutes on Monday against Houston when you're blown out. And then the next day he plays again. You're getting blown out. Oh, let's play him 36 minutes. That's
All on
why
the
he's
road.
not playing in Boston
All
right
on
now.
the road.
Yeah.
This is insane.
I seriously do not understand what Darvin Ham is doing. So I think it's time.
You got to run the racehorse
time for
till you
Ben.
can't run no more.
And LeBron can help you.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll
Trudell,
throw
who
my
we've had on
Yeah.
this show, he was amazing.
Yeah. Maybe Trudell steps up as head coach.
Yes, you would have a great cabinet, Ben, if you were to step up into that position. And I think you could do it.
Yeah.
I'm up for it. We need change.
Lock that in.
But yeah, Phil Handy, Terry Stotts are legitimate candidates for the job if they fire him. I don't think it's going to happen, sadly. And I think the Lakers are going to continue to struggle. They're going to barely make it into the play-in. The trade deadline's going to be huge. And I don't know. They're a mess. They're a mess. Even with their 2 superstars healthy for most of the year, they're struggling.
At least they're the Lakers, man. At least they're the Lakers. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, this offseason's going to be big because I think what's going to happen, they're going to keep Ham for the rest of the year. I think if they make a trade, it's going to be minor. And I think the offseason's really going to be a big deciding point. I think the offseason they'd probably fire Darvin Ham. I think they just don't want to do it mid-season for some reason.
Yeah, no, that would be crazy. That would be too much panic going around, and then it will look bad for LeBron. And I don't think they would fire him mid-season.
And I think then is LeBron going to be like, okay, yeah, I'm committed to come back next year, or I'm committed to sign an extension, or is he going to be like, no, I'm going to go to this other place where I know I can win? And then what does that do for AD? Does AD want to stay with the Lakers, or does he request a trade?
Things move very fast
It's
now.
going to be a lot. This is a huge moment for the Lakers. We'll talk about it more next week as the trade deadline approaches, because it'll be right after the trade deadline ends when we have our show next week. So we'll break down everything that went down. This has been an eventful episode of the Sports Report Pod. Thanks for listening, and class dismissed.
Thank you for listening to the Sports Report Podcast. Be sure to check out our Instagram at the Sports Report Pod for more content and to never miss an episode. We'll see you next time.
Score!